Welcome to the Dolphin Radio Show. This week we'll be talking about the mainstream media's sudden realization that violent thugs are indeed violent thugs and that Google is a monopoly. Andy Warski taking the gloves off, Leah Remini's new video show, or new TV series, and a little bit more. I'm your host, the porpoise with a purpose with a face for radio. Joining me today is Jack the Walrus.
I'm a walrus.
Yeah, there we go. Sir Wolf.
Hello, hello.
And Fernan Loathing.
Hi.
I almost felt like just going back into welcome to the show, guys, because, you know, Fern's a girl and, you know, patriarchy. Anyway, so the mainstream media finally recognized Antifa as violent thugs. Who'd have known that looking at people committing violence over several months would eventually lead you to the theory that they're violent? Thoughts?
Well,
Yeah.
Really?
More
You're telling
like-
me. Wait. You're telling me that people who commit violence are actually violent people.
Yes. Yeah. Look, no. It got released on CNN the other day. I swear, it's true. That's not fake news.
I think that's some like Nazi.
It first got released on MSNBC.
That, by the way, I gotta be honest. Seeing it on MSNBC before it came out on CNN is it's shocking. I don't really know how to respond. I thought they'd be the last holdout.
But hasn't this been like the consensus for a while? I don't watch American media. No,
actually, the American media is very. Here's the thing: is as long as there is any other group to point their fingers out, the mainstream media has focused on that group. No matter how small it was or what they did, if they were there, then the mainstream media jumped on them and ignored Antifa entirely.
Okay.
Well, like for instance, they would point at Trump and before Antifa, and Antifa has already been knocking people in the head with locks.
Yeah.
So.
But you see, I think during that particular, that was at Berkeley, right?
Yes.
Yeah, during that particular bout, the mainstream media focused entirely on the career of Milo Yiannopoulos, and that was literally all they talked about. They're like, "Oh, he's a right-wing troll, and these people didn't want him to speak, so they protested, and then they shut it down." And that was like the whole story for the mainstream media. They're like, "What about the fires? What? I'm sorry. Did you know that there's other news? We're going to talk about that now." And that was pretty much the way they handled Berkeley.
I've just found like a fucking article by theweek.com. Who were like, you might disagree, but what can't be avoided is there is perspective. Even the absolute worst caricature, yeah, there we go. It's not how it wasn't spelled how I thought it would be spelled. Of Antifa is nowhere near as bad as the reality of the extreme right groups. Just a few weeks ago, a neo-Nazi terrorist allegedly drove his car into a crowd of people. Literally an ISIS tactic. Killing one person and wounding 19 is far worse than this group has clear sympathies for the US president, the President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief of the most powerful military force that has ever existed.
Yeah, people in cars.
Kind of baffles me that this. What did you say the source was?
The Week.
The week. Whatever
The
that
Week.
is.
The Week. That's spelled W-E-A-K, right?
No, W-E-E-K. It's Week.
Oh man,
Week magazine.
You should leave them a comment saying that they misspelled their publication title.
There's also I just went on. I typed in Antifa and went on news. National Review. The headline is "Tactics aren't the problem with Antifa." The Week magazine. The resistance is being incredibly irresponsible about Antifa.
The Resistance? Wait, what's the Resistance? Is that like an underground... I I'm thinking of XCOM. I've been playing far too much XCOM.
And while over-the-top name may make the resistance sound like a battalion of Yugoslav partisans in the 1940s, they are not fans of Antifa. The resistance is a coalition of liberals, centrists, and conservatives who are fervently opposed to President Trump, and while the over-the-top, so they're just a group of people who don't like Trump, but they also don't like Antifa.
Yeah, that's a pretty sane position to hold, in my opinion.
Yeah,
sounds like they're just indecisive on who not to like.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think there's a lot of people out there that actually agree and like Trump.
I think even if I was to agree with his policies, I'd find him hard to like personally, which isn't something I need in a political leader, but I don't think I could ever like him as a person.
I think he's a brash idiot when it comes to some of his policies, just straight out tweeting threats or pseudo threats or antagonistic language towards fucking North Korea.
Yeah.
It's a dumb fucking move.
No, I gotta call bullshit on that. North Korea is effectively the nation state equivalent of the short bus.
Yeah, it's no threat to
honestly, if they tried to engage in war at all,
everybody would just put on their musket repellent.
They would really, they would probably last about 5 days, and there would be no North Korea after that. It would just be Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that, and they understand that. Like, even Russia and China aren't backing them right now. They have no friends.
Trump has made veiled threats to stop trading with countries that openly trade with North Korea, which would mean they would put trade sanctions against China. And since the US is China's biggest trading partner, I don't think that's going to happen.
The Chinese don't tend to resort to war. If you, I know that there's a lot of ill sentiment towards the Chinese, especially here in America. But they, if you look at their history in the past 200 or 300 years, they've not resorted to war. They just don't do that anymore. Now they're really all about global trade. So I think that they would take it in their stride and they'd be like, okay, we're going to just take a business approach and hurt you economically. And it's going to be you cutting your own throats. And I think that's how China would deal with it. I don't think that they would get upset. Start shooting missiles at the U.S. Are you insane?
So there's another article saying the debrief, the Antifa granny by Al Jazeera. U.S. News and World Report it published an article called Understanding Antifa. The San Francisco Chronicle published 15 hours ago, we are all Antifa.
I beg to differ. I'm not a terrorist.
You surprised me with the source
said about us all being Antifa.
And
no, I know that right now there's a lot of consideration whether or not they are a terrorist group here in the United States. I know that they are in New Jersey. I know that the federal government's and the Department of Homeland Security is really looking at these guys and going, you know, we need to take them into consideration. And as much as the news, and this is something that Antifa got emboldened by the news, which I honestly, call me crazy, but I think it's a good thing. Because while Antifa is emboldened to do whatever they want and think they can get away with it because some Democratic mayor told the police to stand down, they're still walking by those police with their fingers up right in their face, telling them to go fuck themselves. And honestly, do you honestly think that the law enforcement community is going to just turn a blind eye to these total scumbags who vehemently hate them? It doesn't matter what the Democratic mayors are doing.
I don't think so at all.
Yeah, the national police, people like the FBI, they're going, these guys are after our little brothers. all over the country. And, you know, they're taking action. So Antifa can be emboldened by the news all they want. They're still going to be brought down by the police at the end of the day.
So the San Francisco Chronicle wrote, last month, thousands gathered in San Francisco and Berkeley to defeat the hatred of fascism and white supremacy.
They understand fascism is a government system or an economic government system, right? Not an ideology.
A united front of labor.
I understand it usually involves tiki torches.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And MAGA hats.
Anarchists and others successfully prevented the fascists from holding their rally. This is Antifa, a broad movement of people who stand against the violence of white supremacists and fascists, and violence emboldened by the ascendancy of Donald Trump to the presidency.
All right, can I ask a really stupid question?
No. You're not allowed, but you can ask any other question.
What violence has white supremacy done in years? I mean, ever since the demasking of KKK, the violence and the white supremacists have gone down.
That black church shooting.
I think the only...
but one person is not the implication of several other people.
No, I'm not saying it is. It's just that's the most recent.
The only ones I can think of is that Andrik I can't remember his name. The guy that went and killed like 72 kids on an island.
That was that in America?
No, that was in
Scotland.
Not Sweden. It was like Denmark or some shit.
Oh no, Norway. Yeah, I know that it. Yeah.
Norway, yeah. Andrik V something.
I'm starting to think that the Norwegians are like at least partially bred with Poles.
And then Dylan Roof. They're the only two like white supremacists.
And frankly, there is laws in America that has a mask law.
Yeah, I think Tree of Logic actually.
Antifa. Yeah.
Tree of Logic put out a video on this. She pointed out, I think, every state in the United States that has mask laws. And she said, look, if Antifa meets up in your state, anywhere in your state, and your state is one of these, and the police don't move in to take their masks, then you need to sue the city. And they will settle automatically for damages done. If your property is damaged, like at that point, I kind of want to drive my old car downtown as soon as Antifa riots in my state, because we do have a mask law or no mask law. I want to drive my car downtown to wherever they're rioting and just be like, yeah, if you guys want to smash some stuff, I'm ready to sue the city.
So apparently, here's a list of examples of what the far right does when no one is filming. So
obviously you can't provide evidence for this because
exactly. So take this with salt, but this is what the San Francisco Chronicle is accusing people on the far right of doing. Our volunteer attorney, legal workers, and clients have received death threats and their personal information publicized to promote harassment.
Okay, hold on. That's actually when the cameras are looking, because if you're presenting written information to somebody, there's evidence. Where is it? So I'm sorry. Go on.
As a result of our defense of Antifa's activities, one attorney was stalked inside a courthouse by a man with swastika tattoos and a shaved head wearing quasi-military type attire. He then left, and shortly thereafter she received threatening messages and had to seek protection at a safe house. Again, there should be evidence.
Yeah, if they sought protection at a safe house, let's see the record.
And there would be records of the threats. There would also be security footage of the courthouse.
And you'd be able to see all these swastika tattoos they're talking about.
A group of men wearing military-like attire and one with a swastika tattoo was seen waiting outside Santa Rita jail for arrestees to be released. The National...
And how is that illegal?
Yeah, he's probably their buddy. See, here's the thing. I'd like to point something out, and I want you to go on with the article. But I'd like to point out that the title of this article is "What These Extremist Groups Do When No One's Looking." And how would you know what that is unless you're A, part of the group, or B, you interact with them regularly enough to know and have their trust to see what they're doing when no one's filming?
I know this is a subheading within the "We Are All Antifa" article. And the last one is, the National Lawyers Guild phone lines have been inundated with hate calls. There would be records of those hate calls.
Yep.
Because I imagine when you bring up the National Lawyers Guild, it says calls are recorded for screening and training purposes. Right? Did they do that in the US?
Honestly, if you call up Pizza Hut, they do that.
Domino's too?
At this point, everybody who answers a literal phone has that little message in there. They record everything. Everybody's recorded. Unless you're in California, then it's two-party consent.
But that's basically the long and short of that article. Is like, oh, Antifa's they're pretty cool.
Here's a bunch of baseless claims hidden behind the argument of, oh, they do it when no one's looking, and basically every single claim there should be records of.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like these people don't understand how things are investigated, how things are researched. But anyway,
no, they just don't want to put the time and effort into it. They just want to make accusations and to create more drama.
Yeah, and base everything off the feels. But it makes me feel bad. Like, okay, well, suck it up, Buttercup. Anyway, I did kind of want to move on. Did you guys see what was happening with Andy Warski this week? It seems like the entire...
Other than the vacation?
Oh, well, I mean, before that, when the entire internet seems to either be mocking him or mocking the people mocking him for saying, all right, you demonetize me? Fine. There's no incentive for me to want to be nice anymore.
Frankly, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. I really don't give a crap.
I honestly think it's a brilliant move. It's, they're a highly marketable product as it is, the Warskis.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can't find their own revenue source. And now they don't have to abide by YouTube's terms of service. They could just demonetize everything and say, fuck you, YouTube, and fuck you, Google. And like one of the biggest issues, and this is something a lot of people have brought up, is that the old media is really, really pissed off that these little no-name YouTubers, people like the Warskis, people like Philip DeFranco, people like PewDiePie, can reach 50 times the audience they can gross 10 times the ad revenue that they can, and that that they're nobodies on the internet with a small, a webcam. And it pisses the mainstream media off. It pisses off the old school media. And I think that's absolutely right. But, when it comes to like the Warskis, demonetizing them is like, it's like cutting Obi-Wan Kenobi's head off. It's just making them stronger.
Yeah.
I found an article that was, let me see if I can see when it was released. This was in November of 2016, but I think the title, it's on medium.com by a woman called Janice Joyce, aspiring writer, women's rights activist, advocate, and former Twitter user. And the title simply is Andy Warski, YouTube's new alt-right star.
Andy, alt-right? Oh, my dog is litterbox trained. Holy shit! I'm sorry. I love hearing shit that doesn't make any sense. So I had to throw mine in.
The Warskis are the furthest thing from alt-right. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're the closest thing to annoying, but I wouldn't call them alt-right.
And this was back in 2016. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Actually, that makes sense. November of 2016, if you'll remember. From like the 9th of November on, everybody was alt-right neo-Nazi Russian.
Yeah, this was written on the 14th of November.
Yeah.
I remember the
5 days after their world collapsed.
There's so it starts off with a quote saying, if you want equal rights, go fuck yourself. That is a line from a video made by YouTuber Andy Warski, whose channel has exploded in popularity over the past few months.
Totally an in-context quote there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it fits right. It means exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, why would they say it otherwise?
I know. Warski has been on the platform for many years, but it's only the last few months that his channel took off, thanks to the support of the alt-right. It seems that the nastier his words got, the more his channel grew. He now releases daily rants filled with racism, sexism, and general abuse, often telling his opponents to go kill yourself and calling women cunts.
Oh.
All right, so what did he do wrong?
Yeah.
Watch one of his videos below where he tells protesters at Berkeley, among other things, I wish you were aborted. Women, if you want equal rights, go fuck yourself.
Well, I mean, that honestly is equal rights for women. Men spend most of their days getting laid bucking themselves. So you want equal rights, you got to fuck yourself.
In response to protesters blocking a college campus, Warski replied, fuck your rights. You should not have rights. You can suck my dick.
Yeah,
I hope some guy impregnates you and then leaves you, and you're a single mom, and your kids start doing drugs and then murder you for money.
It's totally not taken out of context, and it totally doesn't have hashtag satire next to it.
I mean, Andy Warski says some inflammatory fucking things, all right?
Yeah. I mean, but he does that on purpose just to like rile people up.
I mean, personally, I find him not particularly funny and quite irritating. But
he's pretty much YouTube's version of a shock jock.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. And even if I don't like him, I understand he's not being serious with any of that shit. I'm not that retarded.
I think that quite often, like when he drops the persona, and like he just goes, if you watch his videos, there'll be like 1 minute of pure content where he's just like, okay, here's the thing, and he lays it out, and you're like, those are really good arguments. But here's the thing: if that's all he did, his videos would literally be 1 minute long each.
Yeah, of course, he has to.
And so he makes a nice 10-minute video. You can enjoy it at double speed at 5 minutes, like I do at work. Just listen.
Even if you've watched him evolve over like the past couple of months, he started to drop that act in a way, and he started to be more like, look, this is how it is, and you're a fucking idiot.
I mean, to be fair, I've only seen like 2-3 of his videos. It's not like
I mean, when he did that interview with that fucking out and out pedophile, that was really interesting. And then when he made the video about like his sexual abuse and stuff,
I thought he handled that interview actually very well.
No, he really did, and I think he made a massive impact and helped a lot of people by saying I was diddled as a kid, man, and I'm not ashamed. I'm angry at the person that did that to me.
That is my favourite phrase for pedophilia.
What, diddled?
Yeah.
What?
Pedophilia.
Yeah, you're gonna get this whole video demonetized, and then I'm gonna have to take the gloves off like Andy.
I meant necrophilia.
Oh yeah, they're too. YouTube is totally okay with that.
To be honest with you, I have issues with that.
I don't know, like crack open a cold one, buddy.
Was that a necrophilia joke?
That was a necrophilia joke. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. You know, you can't bitch that she's just laying there.
No.
Yeah, but I like it when they have a little rock with emotion.
Just think,
That's why you got to wait until the worms invade.
Mm.
Oh, that went so dark so quick.
Okay, thought experiment, right? So rigor mortis sets in around 2 hours. So you fucking a corpse. It's an hour 45 after you've killed her, right? You bust.
Oh, would you get stuck?
Yeah, imagine when rigor mortis sets in and you're stuck in a corpse for 6 hours until rigor mortis stops.
Well, you just call the emergency services and have them. Wait, yeah, I see what you're saying there.
I fell into a corpse dick first.
Either that or you wait until you get soft again and just pull it out.
No, but you could, like, I don't think it worked like that because I think, like, it really tenses every muscle.
Oh, so
every muscle.
That's like dead person cock ring and trap the blood.
And it's not necessarily, and the muscles aren't necessarily going to freeze in the position that they're sitting in. Mm-hmm. That, you know, the corpse might tighten up and like even look like it's moving. It's pretty creepy.
Sometimes they sit up. Like sometimes cadavers completely sit up.
That's my main issue when I'm fucking corpses. I agree.
They're like, oh God, you're alive. Oh wait, never mind. Okay,
it's just always something that's gone through my mind when I like think of necrophilia. It's just someone getting stuck in a corpse.
But you're a woman.
You're getting a corpse stuck in her.
I know how like things operate down there, and I know that like there's not much room while I'm living, so I can imagine what would happen to someone if they fucked me while I was dead.
She would be like, "Hey, you got harder."
You should get that on a t-shirt, Fern.
I know things aren't easy when I'm alive, so I can imagine what it'd be like fucking when I'm dead.
I know how things operate down there.
I actually want that as a top.
Hashtag get the manual.
Mm.
I still think we should start a clothing line where it's just like mine and your out of context quotes.
But honestly, and I gotta say, with the Warski thing, with the out of context quotes, it really bothers me, and it's one of the reasons I don't say half the stuff that goes through my head on these live streams, because you don't want to say, you know, you don't want to make a hypothetical argument and then have someone take that clip and be like, see, he admitted that he was this thing.
Well, you just admitted to necrophilia in that.
There's a clip of me. I was reading a Daily Stormer article, and I just like it just came up on my phone, and I was just like, it was so outlandish, and I just said, I fucking love the Daily Stormer. You know, when you love something that's so absurd.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks for the joke today, buddies. Yeah, I just love that.
And there's just a quote of me that floating out there, just saying, I love the Daily Stormer. So.
Oh, great.
It's a good thing neither of us have any audience.
You know, it's a good fucking endorsement for a white nationalist when it comes from a kike Jew.
Mm.
All right, now my channel is officially demonetized. Since I'm being
it's like, isn't it like
demonetized at this point? I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this episode of the Dolphin Radio Show is brought to you by Self-Immolation, the twin business model, and by Masturbation, the best way to get off without getting fucked.
Buddhism.
Buddhism. All right,
and get off without having to face those rope charges again.
Exactly, and hence the multiple ways that getting fucked can be taken in that particular slogan.
I think it's fucking like have you seen that, like, sorry to go off on a tangent here, but have you seen that like fucking land whale that accused like 19 men of raping her?
Yes. So there aren't,
dude, I wouldn't touch that with a 36.5-foot pole.
Okay, Grinch. I totally know what song that's from.
I think it's like 19, dude. She literally accused them to get sympathy from a girlfriend, but she's just like fucking Jabba the Hutt standards. Like, she's not got a fucking chin. It's just melted. She looks like the fucking mom from Honey Boo Boo, and it's like,
go on.
Is it really rape when they fuck your fat folds anyway? Like, is that penetration?
It depends on how much she was sweating.
Yeah,
you gotta remember, all you have to do is just slap the fat and ride the waves.
But she's actually facing prison time now for it. So
well, good. Absolutely. I think that a false accusation of rape should carry at least half the sentence of the actual rape charge.
Yeah, I think it should be like, I think it should be very like stringent in how you apply the false accusation. So like, if you lose a case, I don't think that's a false accusation. But if there's like text messages or correspondence or just posts or something that gives evidence to the statement,
if the rape charge is not guilty,
reason.
If the rape guy is just found not guilty, no big deal. But if it's found not guilty because something like the Emma Sulkowicz situation or something like that, then yeah, absolutely. I think false rape accusation should also put you on the sex offender registry.
I think it's just it's so fucking horrible for someone who actually has been raped, because it's just like,
I told you I didn't want to.
From the actual standpoint of having that happen to me, you see like these rape cases in the news, and a lot of people report on them because it's very sensational.
Sensational?
Yes, sensationalized. And you see it and you're like, no one's going to believe me. Everyone's going to think I'm lying like this woman. And it's like, it's a real fucking dangerous thing to do. So if you fucking have a problem with someone and you want revenge, just break something of theirs. Just do something illegal that's not going to damage anyone else.
Yeah. Here's another thing. Let's say that you falsely accuse somebody of rape, and it's found out that it was a false accusation, and then you actually do get raped. How much sympathy do you think you're going to get for the actual legitimate violence done against you, since you've already used that argument? It's the boy who cried wolf needs to be taught.
He gets eaten by the wolf.
Yeah. Hey. I saw what you did there.
So we've come up for any punishment for false rape accusations. So death by fellatio.
That's a little rough, man. Yeah, I think false rape accusations should land you at least half the sentence of actual rape, and I think that you should have to be on the sex offender registry for the rest of your life.
I wouldn't say the rest of your life. I'd say a period of time. There, I can agree with you there.
Well, you definitely have to go tell your neighbors that you're a false rape accuser.
Yeah.
I think you should have to like tell every man that you're intimate with, and you should have to sign a contract every time you have sex, because you can't be fucking trusted.
Exactly. You're gonna act like a child about one of the most intimate parts of being human. Then you're gonna get treated like a child. You need a permission slip signed by your parents. I need your identification signed in triplicate, liability waivers, the whole 9 yards.
Witnesses.
You're never getting fucked again. That's not on camera. Period.
I mean, we could Game of Thrones it and have like a town square full of like actual rape victims and false accused men and women of rape charges. And have them walk naked through the square with someone shouting shame behind them.
I thought we were going to have like rape stocks where we could rape the false rape accusers.
Do you know
that's what you get when you're asking for it.
Yeah.
There was a story in, I can't remember if it was India or Pakistan, but this man had raped this man's daughter. So the the father of the daughter who was raped was then told to rape the sister of the man who raped his daughter.
Right.
And that was meant to be ample punishment.
Oh, that's an interesting justice system.
Yeah, talk about the exploitation of women.
Mm.
All right, that's pretty disturbing. There's an interesting. I actually ran across a very interesting clip today on the. It was somebody broadcasting what they were hearing on the radio, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. It may be completely staged, but either way, it was freaking hilarious. I think I'm gonna have to add a link in the description below. But it's basically this woman calls up a radio station. She's like, "Hey, I'm getting ghosted by this guy I went on a date with." And the radio said, like, all right, well, tell us about him. Told her about him. Oh, he's kind of a younger guy. He's about 20 years younger than me. And we went out. We had a really good time. Things got intimate at the end. And he was like, oh, they got intimate on the first date? And she's like, yeah, a couple times. And she's like, but he hasn't called me back, and I can't get in touch with him, and blah, 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 blah. They're like, all right, so we're going to call him up. We're going to offer him fully paid second date if he'll take you out. She's like, okay, cool. So they call him up, and he's like, oh, this is the funniest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. This is the greatest thing ever. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's this kid that's been bullying me pretty much all my life. That's his mother. I actually only took her out so that I could send him a picture of her sucking my dick and be like, I fucked your mother. And you guys just made it a national radio show. and the mom's sitting there on the other line, like listening to all this. And she's flipping her shit, man. Oh, she's like, you think he used to bully you before? He's gonna kick your ass. And he's like, go ahead. I've been taking Krav Maga. I'll tell him not only that
I've been taking Krav Maga.
I'll kick his ass, and then I'll kick his ass after I fucked his mother. Oh man. He was like, yeah.
That poor lady just wanted a second date.
I know. It was a great little joke there.
She shouldn't have raised such a shithead then, should she?
Yeah, well. I bet you that kid, if he's all grown up, he's getting a talking to.
I saw that radio thing. It was funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. It brightened my day up today. But yeah, when this finishes, I'll go ahead and throw the description or the link in the description below. I think I tagged you in a DM, Wolf. But anyway, so let's get around to our final story that I have to bring up. And if you guys have any news stories of the week that you want to talk about, let me know. After this one, Leah Remini, for those of you who don't know, the actress from King of Queens, was for years and years and years a very outspoken, devout Scientologist. And within the past few years, she's very publicly broken from the so-called Church of Scientology, and has begun a show called Scientology and the Aftermath. And it just got renewed for a second season. And I think it's a really great series. Have you guys...
I thought it was called Going Clear for some reason.
No, that was actually a documentary done a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
This one is a whole new thing.
I haven't had the good fortune of watching it. I think we should watch it this weekend if you're down, Jack.
I've seen Going Clear. I've not seen the series.
Yeah, the series is called, I think it's called Leah Remini, Scientology, the Aftermath. And it's very, very highly copyright controlled right now, so you will have to go to AMC to see it. But it's definitely worth your time.
Did anyone see the documentary Louis III did on Scientology last year?
You could always get the app Showbox.
I think Leah Remini was in that as well. She was interviewed there.
I'm sorry, what was the name of the documentary?
It's called My Scientology Movie. It's a film by Louis III.
No, I haven't seen that one.
That's good.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few documentaries on Scientology. Scientology was kind of like my last pull over to the red pill side.
Mm.
So I think it's worth investigating for the cult-like mentality and the brainwashing and the chanting. Like you see these leftist activist groups doing all this stuff, and you're like, I just switched off a Scientology documentary. Is it still playing?
Have you seen? It's Ron Miscavige, David Miscavige's father.
Oh yeah,
he's the leader. He's brought out a book recently about his relationship with his son and just how like power crazed he's gone. Yeah.
Actually, Leah Remini had him on the show in season 1. I think he's like episode 2 or 3, so it's pretty early on. But yeah, it points out that the leader of Scientology's father has even split with the church and is like, yes, my son's he's just power hungry. And the saddest thing is, like, he's like, yeah, if my son showed up today and would, then I'd gladly give him a hug.
But his son turned around while he was having his father followed, and his father was having a heart attack, and he was like, "Don't interfere."
No, he wasn't.
Don't interfere.
He wasn't having a heart attack.
They thought he was having a heart attack.
Yeah, they were watching him in like a supermarket car park. He was clutching his chest because his phone was about to fall out of his breast pocket, and apparently that's when they ran.
Yeah,
they were
and
like,
he was just
looks like
"Oh, let him die. If he's gonna die, just let him die."
Yeah,
don't intervene.
Yeah, so that's
kind of messed up.
I mean, David Miscavige would make a great stripper with all those daddy issues.
You know, he'd actually make a pretty good, like, Anita Sarkeesian or Zoe Quinn or one of the other, like, princesses of feminism if he was only a woman. Like, that's how I imagine the hierarchy works with feminists. Like, you never see the Anita Sarkeesians and the Emma Watsons doing slut walks. It never happens. Just like you'll never see David Miscavige auditing people or, like, going and getting in the face of Anonymous or something like that. He's just not going to do it. He's got foot soldiers for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's kind of scary, like Scientology. It's kind of
it's dwindling.
I don't know. I think it's all smoke and mirrors at this point. I think enough people have caught on to what they are.
Yeah.
You would hope so, at least.
Yeah. Don't they believe in aliens or something?
Yeah.
Xenu.
To some degree, yes.
They believe like this, like, I think the abridged dumb person version is this like bad alien threw a bunch of alien souls into a volcano, and all the souls escaped, and they live in humans now.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, also, if a Scientologist tells you this truth and you're not ready for it, you will die by hearing it.
Oh yeah, that's why it's so secret.
That's why they can't tell you. It's actually to protect you.
They can't tell you unless you've invested about
which means which means if you guys die tonight, it's totally on Fern. She explained it. It's on her. Liability waived.
It's back to the volcano for us then.
But what's his fucking name? John Travolta. He made a really bad movie, didn't he? About like the aliens, the bad.
Oh God, Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. It's based on a fucking
Ron Hubbard book.
Yeah.
I just want to put it out there that L. Ron Hubbard wasn't that good of a writer.
He was prolific, but some of his books are all right.
Yeah, but he wasn't like. He's not good enough to base a religion around.
I want to make a video that's a comparison between social justice / feminism and Scientology and call it Going Queer.
There you go.
You'll attract a very different audience.
I don't know. I just see so many parallels between those.
Rule number 1: you must let Dolphin fuck you in the ass.
Yes. Well, I mean, that or anything really that I can get my dick into.
It has to be underwater and in a cave, though.
No, not necessarily. You know, I'm
Okay.
be rapist. But hey, that's our culture, and it was our culture thousands of years before Islam came along. So who's appropriating who, huh?
Islam's appropriating the dolphins.
Exactly. That's our culture. Stop appropriating it.
Only we rape in caves, you
Yeah.
Bloody Muslims.
It's not like we don't have enough trouble with the Japanese already.
Fuck your wife.
I apologize for all Asians.
Yeah. It's not good enough.
I love making that joke because, like, I hate that fucking mentality of this is gonna sound really bitchy, but I hate the mentality of that some black people have when they speak on like black issues that they're like solely representative of their race. Like some white people like think like that, and I can get like why they worry about that shit, but like
when they talk about what
normal sane people don't think just because you're of this race and you speak on an issue that affects your race that you are the sole fucking arbiter of the entire race.
I got into an argument with a BLM person on Twitter, and I'm sitting there like they're sitting there like complaining about how white people want genocide. Not all white people want genocide, only maybe about 1%. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like, then what about Black Lives Matter? Don't they want genocide of white people? And they're like, where's your proof? So I gave them a whole list of proof of YouTube videos of Black Lives Matter people saying all white people must die.
Yeah, I've seen that shit. I've seen people say that shit.
And they're sitting there like, they're sitting there arguing to me. That's not all of Black Lives Matter. Haven't you seen their webpage? I don't care what webpage says. Actions speak louder than words.
And besides, it's also not all. I mean, seriously, it did not all works for you, but not me. Like you can say not all, but I can't. Well, how does that work? Like you're so eager for equality. Why don't you follow the same rules I have to follow? Why don't you hang your head in shame for what your ancestors did? Who do you think sold those slaves, asshole?
Right.
I mean,
that's basically what I said. They ended up shutting up every time I seem to get out with them. They shut up and leave me alone.
Well, I also like to point out, look, 2/3 of white Americans came to America during the 20th century because of World War I and World War II. And that 2/3 of white people, that huge population increase amongst white people is really the impetus that changed Jim Crow. So basically 2/3 of America are imported white people from the 20th century who helped you guys get your civil rights, yet all white people are to blame. And I only say this because my grandfather gave up his entire culture because he had to flee from Nazis, and he dare not come to this country speaking with a German accent. So he gave up everything, his history, his food, his music, everything.
The same happened with my great-grandmother.
And then you've got my grandmother who came from Ireland. We had nothing to do with the sins of American white people before us. Nothing.
You guys were like mostly indentured servants, weren't you?
Yeah, Irish people are pretty much slaves for like 700 years. So don't talk to me about your 250 years worth of oppression, you little bitch.
I'm Irish, Scottish, and Native American, so I'm a drunk, fighting, kilt wearing, tomahawk carrying, confused about my identity, holy guy.
Who should actually have already been extinguished.
I mean, I think if you look in any race's history, in any ethnic group of people, they've committed genocide or genocide-like behavior against at least one other ethnic or racial group in their history of their entire existence. They've done it at least once.
Yeah, and everybody's also been a slave. I mean, for God's sake, the word slave comes from the word Slav, which is an ethnic group of white people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I mean, fuck white people because they're bad. Like I've got a qualm with it because I'm fucking Asian and Jewish. So I've had and I was dark skinned and I looked really Asian when I was little. And I've had a fuck ton of racism against me by other Asians, by black people, by white people, by Indians, it doesn't matter who you are, someone's gonna be racist against you. Regardless of what race you are and what race they are, they're going to say some racist shit. When you're fucking kids and when you're a kid and when you're a teenager, that's people any difference they'll target and they'll go at. but it's when like black people or people of color turn around and say to me that I don't know how it feels to be a person of color because I look white now. Like all of a sudden, I don't know how it feels to come from an ethnic background that is widely accepted in the country I live in as others.
I'm a white guy from the ghetto.
No, I hate that as well. Like, I hate when they pretend like white people can't be fucking poor. Like, white people have never struggled from paycheck to paycheck. It's only ever black people.
You're talking about the white privilege thing.
Yeah.
No, they don't know shit. And I'll tell you, if you're a white person in the ghetto, you're always looking behind your back.
I grew up under those circumstances, and I would disagree with that, but only because I grew up. It was so normal for me that the only people I could speak to, because the only people who spoke English were black people. It was completely normal for me. In fact, when I moved from the ghetto where I lived to where I live now, I honestly, when I first got here, I was scared of all the white people. I didn't know how to talk to them. I was like, where are the black people? I didn't know where to sit at lunch when I went to school. I was like, seriously? Are there no black people in this school? Where am I supposed to sit? Because that was what I was used to. I was actually more intimidated by the white people than I was by the black people when I grew up.
Okay, I lived in gang territory.
Oh, I did too. I mean, there was more spray paint in my neighborhood than there were fences. I'm fully aware of what gang territory looks like. You don't have to put the nails in the fence anymore. The paint holds it all up. But yeah, I guess it's just really conditioning more than anything else. It's like, when you grow up under those conditions, they don't seem bizarre to you. It's just the way the world is.
No. I didn't get to finish my story though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do go on.
I was the only white kid who moved into this neighborhood. First time they had a white person in the neighborhood, right? So yeah, they tried to bully me, but I didn't back down, and they respected that. And they ended up becoming some of my best friends. So, not all black people are bad. It's just the ones that are who think they're owed.
I'd like to bring up a story. It's England related, but I think it's quite interesting. It's a story in regards to a lot of police stations are under fire for this, but it's currently like the West Midlands has done the worst. And it's West Midlands police failing to record crime reports. So HM, Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Service said victims could be at more risk of harm because of the shortcomings. It said that only 83.8% of offences were recorded. So that means at least 38,800 each year were not reported. And when it comes to violent crimes like sexual offences, rape, abuse, domestic violence, only 77.9% of cases were reported.
How do they know that? How do they know what wasn't reported? I've always been curious about that. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I don't actually know how they come up with that number. I'm fully aware of how they come up with that number. I'm just asking, has anybody ever asked how rational it is to, because it's all a prediction in all reality. What they'll say is they'll do some small sample size and then they'll expand it to the whole population and say, okay, this percentage aren't reporting crimes that are happening. But there's no way of verifying that number. It's just a guess. And it's presented as a fact every single time.
So it's a significant number of these incidents were recorded on our system, but not classified correctly. So so what happens, I don't know, at least in the UK, is you report an incident and you report if you want to press charges or you want to pursue a criminal case. And so if you want to and they don't or they report it as like suspected, or you know what I mean, like they don't report it properly.
Is that what they're referring to when they say unreported?
According to this, yeah, the report focuses on our technical compliance with the National Crime Recording System as such, and about administration and interaction between different computer systems used to record crimes.
All right, fair enough. That actually makes more sense. That is a measurable number. But yeah, they did present it in a very strange way.
I think even sadly, even the BBC now is writing to sensationalize.
I'm sorry, you say that like it's just started happening.
No, but it's happening more.
Yeah. And they're still charging you guys for the TV license, right?
Oh yeah, I tried to.
Yeah.
You can try, but they ain't getting shit.
I would like to announce to anyone listening at the BBC, I have been stealing your broadcasts for, let me see, I'm 36, so about 24 years. And I'm never paying your TV license. Go fuck yourself.
I'd also like to announce that you don't have to legally pay it.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm not really caught up on the legalities of that. I know there was an issue or some sort of legislation about it within the past few years. How did that go? Like when you say you don't have to pay for it legally, what do you explain that?
So they try and make you pay for it if you have a TV that connects to Freeview, which all TVs do since they were upgraded to digital. And they also ask that you pay the TV license if you have anything able to access the internet, so even if you don't watch BBC shows.
And can you refuse if you have those things?
The way I did it, I just told them I didn't have any of those things, but there's probably another way of doing it.
I'm pretty sure as long as you don't access their shows via their channels or websites, that you don't have to pay.
Yeah, they have the right to send an inspector, apparently.
How do your property rights work over there? Can you refuse the inspector entry without a warrant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that problem's solved.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a big bullying tactic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen all the videos on it. I've always wanted them to come to my house, but I'm an American. I'd be like, I'm about to, I'll tell you what, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I go get on my beekeeping outfit and be like, yeah, if you want to talk to me, you're going to have to walk and talk. Let's go. See how quickly they get off the property. Like, what's that buzzing sound? What do you think it is, dumbass?
It's my aerial.
This is my home defense mechanism. You know how many people try to rob me? None. People are not fond of bees.
I love bees. I just wouldn't want to fuck with a swarm of them.
Exactly. Especially when I'm in a beekeeper outfit and all I need to do is tap on the box a few times to piss them off.
I think that they're super friendly. I always, if one has a little wobble and can't fly properly, I always make it some sugar water and give it a little stroke on the belly.
It's dying. It's dying. Just let it die.
Yeah, I know, but at least it's dying and having a nice meal.
I guess there's something to be said for that,
At least it's dying with a full belly.
I want to see them die with valor and honor on the field of battle. Yeah. But
he controls them with his dolphin mind.
Actually, it's pretty easy if you know the pheromones, or if you're wearing a beekeeper outfit and have a stick. That's really all you need.
The Aquaman of bees.
No, I don't profess to be the bee whisperer, but I will say that once you get
the hive man.
That you what?
They should call you the hive man.
The hive man, the hive mind. No, but I will tell you this: you don't have to be an expert to know what to put on your property to keep people you don't want on your property off of your property.
Big fucking dogs and bees, apparently.
Yeah, great big Saint Bernard and a couple of beehives, and you're good to go. And honestly, you don't really even need the beehive. All you need is a beekeeper outfit and a fenced-in yard where they think there's a beehive. Because people see the beekeeper outfit, and it's like it's almost like seeing the police. You know, you're not arrested yet, but you're scared.
You know, technically, if a police officer comes up to you, you should not be scared.
No, no, absolutely not. But I don't know. I got followed through like 6 turns today by one, and I was getting a little nervous when he pulled into the neighborhood behind me. But he didn't bother me, so I just kept on driving.
I can't say I'm a massive fan of police, just because I grew up in a rough area, so they're not usually. They usually have a very low tolerance for bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I've started to like them more and more since I had kids.
Yeah, I agree there.
Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike the police. I just don't trust them because they're only human. So.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's definitely a good point.
The ones that I don't like are the ones that let the power get to their heads.
Oh, like that fucking guy that assaulted the nurse. Like, I've had arguments with people that the nurse wasn't within her right to resist arrest.
Absolutely. She's within her right. She could have literally turned around and grabbed that cop by the throat, pinned him down, kicked his leg out from under him, put his hands behind his back, handcuffed him, and she'd have been perfectly within her rights to do so.
And I get really arrest when people are like, oh, it's unlawful arrest. And I'm like, no, that's a fucking assault. If anyone else did that shit, that would be an assault. So why the fuck does he not get charged with assault?
No, she was a real class act. Well, here's the thing is they don't want to scare police from doing the job when they need to do the job by, doing that kind of stuff. And I totally get that. I totally agree with that. Like, every time a police officer is a little too aggressive, we charge them with assault. They're going to stop arresting people and just let the criminals behave. That's how we got Antifa.
Mm.
We don't need that.
I think there should be.
Well, it doesn't help. You got mayors and stuff standing behind them. Just let them be.
Yeah, the mayor of Boston actively hates the police. How is it that you can be the boss of people you actively hate? That should not be allowed.
It's the fact that I think the laws should be very different when it's the interaction of police and medical staff.
Oh yeah. And I gotta also point out that was an older guy, been on the force a long time, probably gotten away with probably a lot of stuff, and just thinks that he's untouchable at this point. He's like a tenured professor,
It's a completely illegal thing to fucking do. Blood is property, and if you don't have a warrant, you ain't getting shit.
Blood is not property in the United States under those circumstances. It's not. And I gotta say, have you guys ever heard of Officer 401?
No, the Supreme Court ruled a couple of years back that you have to have permission, a warrant, or just fucking just cause. Yeah. It's a search of it's a considered a search, so it's protected under the 4th Amendment for illegal search and seizure. Yeah. But it's not technically property. I think once it's been taken out of the evidence, I'm pretty sure it's considered, or taken out of the body, it's considered evidence, even in a medical situation. Yeah, but I think it's considered a property right when it's taken. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's why it's covered under the 4th Amendment, because the 4th Amendment is generally referred to as the Property Rights Amendment. But it's fucking. it's stupid as well because he was fucking full of benzos and fucking sedatives.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been an accurate assessment. And I know what they were doing. Like, that was a fellow police officer. They wanted to clear him before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And they were actually doing it for his benefit. And I get what they were doing. I totally get what they were doing. They didn't want him to get in trouble for this, which they knew him to not be guilty of. And so they're just lining up their paperwork, getting their ducks in a row. Fellow officer he's unconscious. He can't consent, but he would want us to do this to make sure he still had a job on Monday. And that's probably what the guy was thinking. But Officer 401, he's a YouTuber here. And he actually made a video about this and addressed this. I think he addressed it better than most people have. And he's like, no, this guy is absolutely stepping over his line. He even made fun of his haircut, which, he's like, seriously, dude, if you're going to be that bald on top, cut the side. Because that guy had like the scraggly. I couldn't tell if he was a police officer or a crackhead in a costume. Have you seen the guy? He's got like the sunken in cheeks and the bald head with the scraggly long hair on the sides.
It's the fact that she had a superintendent not a superintendent, a fucking supervisor on the phone. He was like, no, it's against our policy. It's against the policy that the police signed with our hospital. So
yeah. Well, and that policy is not a hospital policy because the hospital just wants it to be that way. It's a hospital policy because that's law, and that's how how their legal team has determined is the most legally efficient method of dealing with this situation. Everybody's protected, and they're not liable. That's what the
police had agreed on those terms.
Yeah, and you know what? It wouldn't even matter because under their own jurisdiction, the police would have to still abide by those terms. Now, if the guy was under arrest, they'd have the right. That's one of the conditions. But if they were holding him but had no grounds for arrest, they'd have to follow the same rule. If they collected blood at that point, it'd be thrown out.
Yeah.
Because without his consent, without an arrest, and without a warrant, they cannot take that evidence.
That person wasn't even the person he wanted the blood for.
But the nurse should have just let them take the blood.
No, absolutely not.
No, exactly. She has a duty, and I think you don't, a lot of people don't get it unless you've worked in the medical field, but you have a duty of care for your patient. And at the end of the day, their rights, their dignity, and their ability to consent and be able to decide on their care and decide on really major things is your top fucking priority.
Yeah.
The point that I was going to make, the person he wanted a blood sample for wasn't even the suspect in the car wreck they were chasing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But he is a fellow officer. He's I think he was a truck driver at his main job, but he was a reserve officer. So he's a buddy of theirs. And you have to understand that if you even, bump a flower the wrong way and get a little scrape on your car as a police officer, immediate drug test, immediate alcohol test. No questions asked, immediately go now. If you don't, you're fired. And that's kind of their attitude on it. So I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to make sure that he was going to have his job at the police department on Monday.
But then surely they'd have been able to get a digital warrant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Officer 401 even pointed this out. He said, you have no idea how easy it is to get a warrant. And this officer who did this as a detective. He should be fully aware of how easy it is to get a warrant. It takes literally 2 minutes. You sit down with the judge, you explain what you want and why you want it, and the judge determines if you've got a good reason. He signs a warrant, you go get what you want.
I'll be right back.
It's literally asking a judge, and 9 times out of 10, these police are friends with the judge. They've done a dozen or so warrants with the judge, and so I think Officer 401 actually points out. He says, it's about a 30-minute process after a while because you spend 2 minutes getting a warrant and 28 minutes shooting the shit about fishing and kids and all the other stuff that you guys interact with on a regular basis. So yeah, I mean, this guy was just way out of line. And probable cause in the United States, they have this thing called exigent circumstances. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you don't necessarily need probable cause or a warrant under exigent circumstances. one of those exigent circumstances is if you think that there is evidence that is imminently is about to be imminently destroyed.
Mm.
That is the only feasible concept I could think that that officer would have for arresting the nurse or trying to take the blood at that moment. But then you've got to argue to a judge and jury that a hospital is going to destroy evidence.
Yeah, I was going to dispose of it.
Yeah. Not only are they not going to dispose of it because of you, they're not going to dispose of it because of their own policies where they have to keep the blood on file.
Yeah. I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, and it's like it's not just his blood they're keeping every blood sample that they take for I don't know how long, but I know that they don't throw it away, you know, before the cops can get a warrant. So
Hello, I'm back.
I'm Dolphin. Hi, back.
I'm Sir Wolfie. You can call me Sir.
Wow. Oh, face.
Anyway,
what's your next topic?
I actually don't have any. Do you guys have any issues? And thank you, by the way, for bringing up the nurse. That was actually a great news story I forgot about.
Vice magazine is calling the Confederate soldiers Southern Shrines. What?
I'm sorry. You can repeat that.
Vice magazine.
Okay.
Is calling the Confederate statues shrines.
Shrines.
Right.
That's insane. That's just nuts. Well, I mean, here's a good question. Are they going to go to Arlington and start just digging up graves next? Is that the next step? I'm curious. Like, if we erase everything about here's the next question. If we erase everything about the Civil War that upsets people, and nobody can ever see anything about the Civil War again, then can we just pretend like it never happened and slavery wasn't a thing and get back to race equality? Like, do you not realize when you're cutting your own throat that that's what you're doing?
Pretty much.
All of your arguments, like when it comes to social justice and the argument of race, like literally everything comes back to slavery prior to the Civil War. Everything. Everything. And if you erase the Civil War, then you effectively erase all of your arguments with it. Because, you know, you erased, how do we know it happened? You erased all the statues, you erased all the history. You know, let's go dig up Vicksburg and put a big lake there. Let's go dig up Gettysburg and put a big lake there. We'll pretend like none of this shit ever happened. And then you won't have an argument. Oh, yeah, forget about that part.
But white people are bad.
Yeah, but they're starting to say that it stretches all the way to Washington. Not Washington, D.C., but Washington with name streets, camps, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, so it's just a fucking name.
MLK said that we should live together in harmony. That shit is just, you can't trust white people. We need to get rid of the MLK statues and the MLK Center in Atlanta and all the streets named MLK. Like, no, these people are insane.
I'd be surprised if some black people argued that.
I know. I'm expecting that to pop up next, and I'm just going to be like, "Look, you're." I actually got in an argument on Facebook about a year ago, and this woman was just going off on me and be like, "You're white boys, and you're this and that white," just kept saying white boy, white boy, white boy, and I was just like, you keep calling me a white boy, and I haven't once even considered your skin color because I like to judge a person by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. And she just came back at me like, how dare you use Martin Luther King's words? Why? How dare I? They're really good words and they make a lot of sense. You should listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, oh, shit. He just dropped the mic on my ass. Well, and she actually apologized to me after that and was like, I'm sorry. We have to understand. I've dealt with assholes. We're like, yeah, and you've become one as a result.
It's got to the point where they may as well just be calling like Martin Luther King a fucking house nigger at this point.
Yeah. Look, hey man, you just Uncle Tom for them crackers.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna have to refresh.
Actually, I'm gonna be ending the show pretty soon. So hurry up and come back in so we can wrap this up. I think he already left.
But I think this is the problem I have with a lot of the black people that are like all white people, because it's so like it's so disingenuous, it's so fucking racist. Like if someone said all black people or all Asians or all Mexicans or all this, all that, like it's just wrong. It's just not like right to tar everyone with the same brush, because that's exactly what happened in Jim Crow. That's exactly what happened in slavery. That's exactly what Martin Luther King was fighting for. And even to an extent, Malcolm X, and he was super militant, but he still knew that you need to get along with each other. You need to fucking fight the systems together, because the system doesn't just keep black people down. It keeps poor white people down. It keeps poor Hispanic people down. It keeps anyone who doesn't make enough money to be able to figuratively pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It targets all of those people.
I would say that I would agree with you on 98% of what you just said, but I would argue that poor people aren't generally poor because they don't make enough money. I mean, there are those cases, but they're not the majority. The majority of people who are poor because they live way outside their means, and they want to have a bunch of nice stuff, and it costs them the ability to have money, honestly.
But that's like...
They're not poor because they don't make enough money. They're just poor because they don't know how to properly manage what they do make.
I think maybe like to combat that, like education in school,
absolutely,
about management would be a good thing.
I think that bringing back home economics in the sense of home economics, like learning how to sew so that you don't have to go buy a new shirt every time yours rips, learning how to cook so you're not eating out every night. You know, these kinds of things make people poor. We're like, oh God, I tore my shirt. I got to go buy a new one. Why don't you just fix your shirt?
Balance the book.
Man, I've had the same T-shirts for 8 years.
See, I don't even own any T-shirts. Well, actually, I lied. My wife has bought me a couple in the past few years, but I own all dress shirts, and I bought them all from Goodwill and then tailored them. So you know, that's what you can do when you learn how to sew. It's a real simple, basic skill. They don't teach it anymore. But yeah, I agree with you, Fern. It really, if you want to fight poverty, don't fight it by giving people money. Fight it by giving people understanding of how to spend money and how to live within their means and how to manage their money. Teach people how to invest.
There are, to extents, people who are so below the poverty line that they do need government handouts.
Yeah. Like I said, there are legit cases of you just don't get paid much. But I'm going to throw this out there. If you're 28, 29 years old, and you're still a burger flipper at McDonald's, that's on you. That's entirely on you. That's your fuck up.
Told you what I was doing, right?
Give me a second, man. That's really... Yeah, thanks, Wolf. I appreciate that sacrifice on your behalf.
Right, I'm gonna get to bed anyway because I'm falling asleep on you. So,
all right, Jack. We appreciate you coming in on the show. You guys are always welcome. I'm here every Wednesday from 7 until 8-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, why don't you go ahead and shamelessly self-promote on your way out?
I do nothing, so follow more talented people.
That was it's quite a noble self-promotion.
Very noble, man. All right, cool. I'll see you all later.
Later, Jack.
See, are you going to bed now, or can I Skype you in like a minute?
Yeah. I'll still be up for 20 minutes or something.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Plenty of time to crawl in with him. Just so that we can actually, you know what? I'll wait till we're off the air. I do have a question for you though, Fern.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Wolf, is that train passed?
Yes.
Excellent. Any parting words for the evening?
Be yourself. Don't let people control you.
Good words, Sir Wolf. Fern, helpful advice for our audience and where they can find you?
Be kind to people. And this is like one of my pet peeves that I've seen on Twitter a lot lately. Is just this gang mentality that's like dog pile on people who are shitty, but you don't get anywhere with shitty people by being shitty back. I know it's very tempting, but it's not how we're going to fix problems. So be kind, show love, even if the person doesn't show it back. And go follow me on Twitter, because as much as I say show love, you can still mock people. Just don't do it in a dick way.
You can still make fun of people, just don't be mean about it.
Just don't mock people's ideas. But
I don't they're mean to me.
Their appearance is worthwhile.
All right. So you guys can check out Fern. I'll go ahead and throw her channel in the description below as soon as I finish this up. And as for me, all I have to say is love speech is not free speech. And I say we ban all forms of love speech. Love speech inevitably leads to romantic obligations, unwanted impregnation, spousal exploitations, 3 other things ending in ation, which I won't name here because fuck citation, and rape. That's right. Rape culture is promoted through the use of love speech. And love speech today. If you don't oppose love speech, you're the kind of person who kicks puppies downstairs and you deserve to be punched. Anyway, this has been a production of Dolphin Radio. The opinions expressed here on Dolphin Radio are in fact Dolphin Radio's, and if you don't like them, go fuck yourself. Thanks, guys, for coming on the air, and hopefully we'll see you back next Wednesday. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Later.